Exactly.
Look at everybody dialing in. Hi, friends. We'll let you all get dialed in and then we'll get started. We know everybody's filled up their coffee, they have their snuggies on, they're trying to stay warm and recovered from the not vacation 3-day weekend of work with weather. Okay, I think we're pretty close. Well, hello everyone, and it is nice to see you freezing just like we are. I was checking with our panelists this morning to make sure my little space heater wasn't making too much noise here in my office because my nose is cold. I am Shauna Haley. I'm your host for today's webinar. So I have a question for you guys. It's January. Do you think you have what it takes to win a TAMI Award? You know your team's working really hard to engage with the public, develop and deliver impactful campaigns, and tell stories that actually bring about change. But are you making time already to enter the TAMIs to receive recognition for all of that hard work? We're going to start early to help you prepare for the 2024 awards. And believe it or not, although we're saying early, it's coming at us fast, kind of like an ice storm blowing across West Texas all the way to the east. Today, we have with us our Vice President of Awards for TAMIO, Sara Bustilloz, and we have a previous award winner, Wilson Haynes with the Town of Prosper, and they're going to go through the ins and outs of crafting a successful entry and give you all of the details that you need for entering this year's. So before I turn things over to Sara, I want to let you all know we're going to use the chat function today to manage questions. We're not going to use the Q&A, we're going to use the chat. I'm going to monitor that for the panelists. We're going to try to answer some as we go. We'll leave time at the end for more questions. And we are recording the session and we'll post this to the TAMIO website. And I think Sara's planning on also emailing it out when the award announcement goes out. So with that, I'm going to put myself on mute and hand it over to Sara and Wilson.
Thank you so much, Shauna, for that warm welcome on a freezing day, although I am also illegally using a space heater in my office, so I'm trying to stay pretty warm today. So hi, everybody. My name is Sara Bustilloz. I am the Director of Marketing and Communications for the City of Round Rock. And as Shauna mentioned, I'm also the VP of Awards for the TAMIO board. This is my second year in this position. I'm supported by an amazing committee from our membership, and so I'd like to give them some kudos before starting off. We have Aaron Moody, Jeff Newford, Lacey Nobles, Heather Bates, Deanna Phillips, Roy Cantu, Brian Ligon, and then our former VP of Awards, Molly Fox, who made so many updates to our programming that during her time in the position that I continue to benefit from. So we have a great committee that has met and talked about this year's awards programming, and they continue to support and help me through the year. So I know you all want to know, when can I start submitting my TAMI Awards? Submissions for the awards will open in early February. We're aiming to have the system ready to launch Monday, February 5th at 8 a.m. The TAMI Awards submission deadline will be 11:59 p.m. on Sunday, March 17th. So it's important to kind of check when your spring break is and see how that all lines up. But we do have that deadline on a Sunday night, just in case you need the weekend to follow up and make sure you have everything ready to go. Entries produced on or after January 1st, 2022 are eligible for submission. And this year we slightly bumped up our entry fees to $85 per entry for TAMIO members. In previous years, that was $75. All of this information and more are available at texastamio.org, which I will be referring to a lot through this webinar because there's a lot of great information there for you to poke around and check out. As Shauna mentioned, every year TAMIO honors the best work produced by local government communicators in Texas through this program. And this is just a great way for us to learn from our amazing colleagues. When you see the work someone puts out and it wins an award, that helps provide inspiration for, I know, my work throughout the year, in addition to the original and creative work that we're putting out. Of course, these are presented at the annual TAMIO conference. San Antonio will be the destination for the 2024 annual conference. This is also TAMIO's 50th anniversary. So that's really exciting. We're going to have some special things happening this year. We just had our board meeting last Thursday and Friday before the ice storm rolled in, and or the winter storm, and just have some really exciting things going on. So that will be June 5th through 7th at the Grand Hyatt San Antonio on the Riverwalk. It's an amazing space to hold the conference. So expect a grand celebration there. So today I also have a special guest on here. As Shauna mentioned, I have Wilson Haynes, who works with Todd Rice in the town of Prosper. Woof, I almost messed up. And last year was their first year submitting award entries for work that they produced. I was really impressed with the way Wilson put their entries together. And so I had to call him up to be on this webinar with me today. And Prosper is also a pretty decently small town. What's the population, Wilson?
So the population of Prosper is around 38,000. It's growing quickly, like every city in Texas, but yeah, as of right now, we're about 38,000 residents. So
Awesome. So yeah, I was excited to see such great work from a team that I know is also juggling the day-to-day things they have on their plate, smaller city, smaller team. So excited to show his work today. And last year we had a record-breaking 547 entries. That's up from 435 entries the year before. So it's exciting to see so many new names winning awards. We had a total of 164 awards distributed last year. So that was a very significant increase from the 121 trophies that we gave out the previous year. And we went back and looked through our records through 2019 to see who won an award that maybe hadn't in the recent past. And there were several new recipients of awards in recent years, including Abilene, Bedford, Bee Cave, Belton, Cedar Hill, Denison, Horseshoe Bay, Jacksonville, Kerrville, Lakeway, Murphy, North Texas Municipal Water District, and Wichita Falls. So if we have any of you on here today, feel free to say hi in the chat. And congratulations. So to see 13 new award recipients, sorry, I'm having a little bit of throat trouble because I had an asthma attack this weekend in West Texas. I was visiting Midland. So you guys can cut that out before we post the recording, right? Okay, so to see 13 new award recipients and to give out 43 more awards overall, that was very exciting for us. Thank you, Allison. That's exactly what we wanted to see with the new categories that we've added in recent years. So this year's competition will again feature 29 categories, and many of those will no doubt have population breaks. I get a lot of questions about population breaks. I think the most important thing here, logistically to say, for transparency, is we have an outside group judge our awards. So we have our sister organization, Capio, which is the TAMI of California. We've been having a third party judge our awards for several years to avoid having any conflicts of interest. And the biggest issue I run into with judging is to keep that burden manageable, manageable on our partners. And so in some of our video categories, they had up to 18 entries to judge, even though we had an even split, 3 completely even population breaks. So I know for cities around that 75,000 to 125,000 population, you do jump between categories, but we want to make sure there's good competition in those categories. So I'm going to be honest, sometimes I'm more scared to be grouped with some of the smaller cities than some of the larger ones because of the great work that they're putting out. And then sometimes there's categories that have less competition. You know, the innovation award category, that tends to be one we don't get quite as many in. But I'm thinking maybe with AI use, things like that across cities, some of y'all have podcasts. That's a great place for those kinds of entries. And we don't often have category break or population breaks in the innovation award category. So before we get started, I want to let Wilson talk a little bit more here, maybe to give my voice a break and let him talk a little bit more about what has winning a TAMI award meant for you in the town of Prosper, and why did you feel like it was worth putting in the effort to submit?
yeah, definitely. So hi everyone. My name is Wilson Haynes. I'm the senior communication specialist for the town of Prosper. So really, what winning these awards meant for us is because since we are a small shop, we put in a lot of effort. We manage over 14 social accounts and manage our websites, and we really put a lot of work into creating a lot of campaigns that help give benefit to our residents, show why, and for knowing this information is important, highlighting our staff members. They put a lot of work and effort into day-to-day things, knowing the services that we provide to residents, keeping them updated on various issues like emergency management or our fire and social accounts. Really just highlighting that work that we put into a TAMIO an award, and getting an award for that is something that really has helped us, just helped us show our council, our staff, because it goes to them as well. Because if it's not for us as a whole team, as staff from police, town staff, public works, just everybody as a whole, we wouldn't be here because of them. So it's really just a whole team effort, especially a town our size. It's a little bit more, intimate and personal because of that. And so really just winning these things has, been something that we're proud of as a team, and as a growing team. It kind of helps give us a strategy and a goal to keep improving our communication efforts. And as a growing town, it really just keeps that standard. So yeah, definitely was something that really helped us create more goals for ourselves, and constantly improving our strategies. And yeah, it's definitely been a great process and a great help on learning from others. And so yeah, TAMIO's definitely been a great resource and program for our department.
Awesome. Thank you. So I'm going to start sharing my screen here really quick. Hopefully it works. All right. So I wanted to pull up texastamio.org for everybody and just show you the area of the website that I'm in. I'm under the awards navigation here, and I've gone to categories. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what we have available for you to enter in. Last year, we did a pretty hefty overhaul on our categories. So there are no changes to categories this year. We're keeping it stable. But I do want to give a quick refresher on some of those newer ones. We did last year add best overall use of short form video. This was added to our overall video category to encourage submission of work that is 60 seconds or less. We're also asking for your entries to include at least 3 videos so judges can get a better idea of your overall short form video strategy. I'm expecting to see even more entries in this category this year because I see a lot of the great work that everybody is doing. But it could be vertical or horizontal in any video category. So it's truly just short video, but we know that most of these will probably be vertical. But know that if you're starting to have a great series and it's, it's done primarily through Reels, but it's a recurring program, that actually can be entered in regular or recurring program. But of course, the short form is a category where vertical videos can especially shine. Under social media, last year we added a best social media post category, which I got great feedback on. This allows a single post, if you had something go viral, it allows that to not necessarily blow out the great work people are doing on social media campaigns, because we were having, these campaigns that had these big plans behind them, and then someone would come in and win with like one viral quirky social media post. So that allowed us to have a little bit more separation there. But keep in mind, a social media post entered in this category may not be included as part of a best social media campaign entry. So if your post was part of an overall campaign, you'll need to make the tough choice of which one to submit it for, whether that's the best social media campaign unplanned for a series of posts on an unplanned or emerging event or situation such as winter weather, or best social media campaign planned, which encompasses more of those planned strategies that you're thinking about ahead of time to communicate with or engage residents across multiple posts or platforms, and had great execution. Last year, we also added the issue-specific website, crisis communications response, and also a diversity, equity, inclusion planning category. If you had a specific outreach effort or campaign to engage the diverse or underserved audiences in your community. So those were all very popular last year, and we hope to see those continue to grow. A couple of things to remember. I mentioned videos can be horizontal or vertical, and a video should be entered in one category deemed as the best fit by your municipality. The same video cannot be entered in multiple video categories except for best use of humor. But you can submit multiple entries in the same category. So if you have two separate recurring programs that you do in your city and you want to see how those two measure up against each other, you can put those both in that category. Only one is going to place, but then that gives you some guidance on which one performs better when judged by a third party. But you can't take that same video and have that across multiple video categories, if that makes sense. Also, our publications are both print and digital, with the exception of e-newsletter. So of course that's digital only, but everything else, if it's print or digital, we'll accept that, because we were having, folks submit it would get kind of confusing if you had a magazine that you were putting on your website. Some folks would put that in as kind of a digital submission, some would put it in as print. And really it's, all kind of the same in the end. So we combined those. So it is print versus, print and digital can both be submitted there. And then also we have, I'm trying to see, I think this is under our information page. We do have a plagiarism statement of original work that you have to sign off on when you're submitting your entries. One of the best parts of TAMI is being able to get ideas from each other. Honestly, yesterday we had our trash delayed by one day because of the weather, and we saw Bedford had just put their notification out. So we pretty much copy pasted and adjusted the text that they put out and sent that out with our graphic. And that saved us a lot of time and was really helpful to us. However, TAMI Awards really exist to celebrate hard work, unique talents, and originality. So for submitting award entries for the TAMI Awards, you need to be able to stand behind the fact that your entry is significantly original work. So we all know there's a difference between finding inspiration and straight up plagiarism. So please keep that in mind when you're submitting your awards. And then one of the things that I deal with the most on the back end of the awards is that your entry fees can be paid by credit card or check. And so if you pay it by check, you would select the invoice option when you get to the end of your entry submission. And then you have to have your checks in by the Monday after the deadline. So make sure that you have your check in, probably the mail, before you actually even submit your entries, so that it has time to get to Tristan over at TML and he can get that submitted properly. If you're going to pay by a credit card, please select PayPal. So I know those are kind of like weird nomenclature, PayPal versus invoice, and you don't have to have a PayPal account to pay by credit card. Just select PayPal, and PayPal is the service that we're using to run credit cards. So if you choose the wrong option and you try to go back, it will actually lock your entry and we have to unlock it for you. So just remember, invoice is check, PayPal is credit card, even if you don't have a PayPal account. All right, so let's dig into the application system here for a bit to talk about how to submit your award. I'm going to run through this and then I'll pull up some of Wilson's entries to talk about how Prosper put together such great entries. So the most helpful place to visit on our website as you're putting together your awards is this past TAMI winners page. So if you go to the award winners page, you can see links for all of the recent years. And these all lead to a gallery within the system that we use for award entries. And you can see the winners gallery for each category. So we're not trying to gatekeep how to win an award. You can even ask myself or, another member of our awards committee, hey, I'm struggling with what category I should put this video in or this marketing plan, and we would be happy to help you. This is all transparent. We want you to put in the best entry submissions that you can. So you can go through and say, I want to submit an issue specific website. And when you click on that, it will show you who won. You can click into that. You can see all of their attachments if they included them. And then I know we don't have the submissions open yet, but these are all the fields that you'll need to fill out. So if you want to start preparing them, you can go through one of these and copy this and go ahead and plan, what am I putting as my goals and objectives? What am I putting as my outcomes achievements? And really take a look at what people are putting in there. This is City of Bryan for an issue specific website, and they have very specific metrics in here about their outcomes and achievements. Our judges are not just judging you on the entry itself, they're judging you on if you had a goal and if you achieved that goal. So that's a really helpful place to take a look. And then also make sure that you always include an award banquet description. When Jay and Molly are up there announcing who has won the awards, this is very helpful for them to have, a quick tidbit to say about your award as you walk up and win your award. And we just ask that you keep that really brief, maybe 1 to 2 sentences, because we, as you know, have a very long awards program so that everybody can win their awards. So take a look at that. Wilson, to get into some of your entries, I've got all 3 of them pulled up. You had a winter storm social communications campaign, new Town of Prosper website, and best social media post for pre-treated versus non-pre-treated roadways, which is very timely right now. Can you talk a little bit about how you compiled your information for the award?
Yeah. So really the beginning process is just laying out why your campaign was a success. Your strategy. Always treat the way I was just thinking about it is just treating it as my campaign process. Kind of what have I learned from past experiences and all that to create this campaign. Just lay it out from pen to paper, from your mind. Just treat it as that. Treat what your process was and show it into that presentation for the award. I think that really can help really explain why this campaign was a success, and going back and showing your goal, objective, and outcome was really something that helped better explain in a presentation format. But that's really what the starting point was, getting that going, getting your process going on the campaign. Because no matter what, you're submitting to, everything is a strategy. So even if it just comes from just a photo submission, explaining in detail what exactly brought this outcome and why you even took these photos for this event, why this event was a success, putting all the information that is relevant to why you believe that this award is something of significance and why you think it deserves, an award. So that was really just the beginning process.
And you
just
stated too, sorry to jump in, but you had your goals and objectives. And what I'm looking at right now, the view that I'm showing you all, it's going to walk you through each step as you're entering. This is really what the judges mostly see, is all of your stuff together. And so you've got the text here of the goals and objectives, the outcomes and achievements. So if this is blank, they really have nothing to look at here. And then you have the option to add attachments as well. Can you talk about how you put together your attachment and what you used as inspiration?
So really putting in the presentation, of course, and then submitting all the other relevant information that is requested with the submission, but also showing the reporting. I think that that's a really big thing. If you have access to reporting, really highlight that on the success. This presentation was made in Canva. I'm sure most of us use Canva. It's a great 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 program to use. It's very easy to use and everything. And that's what, again, going back to the process, highlighting, the campaign through posts, through graphics, through messaging, and then you have the ability to link directly into this presentation. So you can click on exactly why this post was a success. Look at the post, look at all different campaigning posts within the presentation. I think that that was a really big thing to highlight, and something that's really easy to access. So someone who is reviewing this presentation, I wanted to make it as easy as possible to just get to the point, get straight to the point on why our goals and objectives, and to have them view it in real time. I think that was something that I think that gets to the point, and showing our successes just in a really easy to read and really easy to access format. But definitely, I think that having the ability to show your social media reports on the campaigns is something that is really successful, and really I think helped us and get a better understanding on why our campaigns were a success, and also give the judges a better understanding on the accuracy and relevancy of the campaign. So yeah, it was definitely something that we really wanted just to keep that process and highlight every single thing that we did to show this campaign as a success. So
yeah, and one thing that I really like that you did, you mentioned making it easier on judges. As I mentioned in our video categories, some judges had to judge 18 award entries within that category, even after the population breaks happened. So just thinking about, what they're going through. Some folks, I think, sometimes think more is more. But as communicators, we all know that if you can kind of boil it down to the main points and make it easy to follow, that's going to be super helpful. And it's nice to have the goals and objectives where you can just give it a straight read. And some judges prefer one or the other. Some of them like reading through the goals and objectives very thoroughly. But if it's too long, sometimes they might go and say, oh, I see this nice presentation with a cover page. Back in the day when we had the you had to mail in your awards, people would put them like in folders and have a cover page. So it's nice in Canva to think about it that way, that presentation matters. And then you have some of the beefier reports that you ran for Town of Prosper. If they really want to get into the analytics, it kind of lends some trust in that these are from your reports. But some people I've seen just attach these reports, and if you're a judge, I mean, this is really can be very hard to follow. It gives us really good insight as communicators on what's working or not, but for a judge, this can be a lot to scroll through. But if you kind of have it where you're giving them options, that's not always a bad thing either, because again, you've really compiled and organized this in a really clean and good way.
Yeah, and I was going to say that another big thing to point out for just anybody who does generate reports for your campaigns or social posts, definitely if you have a reporting system, I would definitely make sure to tag all your campaigns. It definitely makes it easier in the end for stuff like this. It's easy just to pull up a campaign or a tag and find it exactly what you're looking for and generate that report within that time frame. So that's what really helped us, create this this whole submission pretty seamlessly and with ease and fast too. So definitely always just think about that stuff. Think about, even if you're not submitting, just think about stuff for the future. Like, any campaign you do, just make sure to tag and follow those campaigns, because you never know, something might be a success that you can show for. So that really did help me with, especially we use Sprout Social, so that's definitely a great feature to use, is the campaign or tag reporting for our campaigns. So just wanted to put that out there too.
Wilson gives really great advice that I definitely do not follow, because I feel like when we're in the heat of the moment, we are so bad about tagging our stuff. And it's funny, I feel like there are two types of people in the world: those who do a really good job of tracking their analytics throughout an event or with a campaign, and then they have it really nicely packaged for when it's awards time. And then there are those of us where the awards force us to pull our analytics, which is really cool too. That's why I like submitting TAMI Awards, because it's that time of year where it's like, okay, what were our best campaigns of the year, or what performed really well. So it's funny. There's kind of two ways to go about it. Mine is definitely the more stressful way. So follow Wilson's advice if you can. Awesome. Well, do you have anything else for now, Wilson? Because I think I'm going to go through some of the judging stuff, and then maybe we can address some questions.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. When you're talking about judges, I was going to say another thing. Just always make sure to check your past submissions, check judges' comments. That's been a huge help with us for this year, just to see kind of reasonings why maybe ours didn't get selected for an award. That's very helpful. Really just goes over all the things that you may have missed, or maybe some errors that you had within your presentation. It's just a big help. So I definitely recommend going back and looking at your past submissions if you do have those. And also just going back and looking at other communities. It's definitely, that really helped us and helped me create our reporting, and kind of see what other people are doing, and also see what's something I could do better or in a different way to maybe stand out. So it's definitely, I definitely recommend looking at other communities, their submissions, and just seeing what's working, and kind of what their strategy is to showcase their campaigns. So definitely recommend that, and yeah, it's been a huge help for us. So
Awesome. Yeah, and I loved Wilson said that was something that he did before submitting, was he went back and looked at the award winners from previous years and used that as inspiration. So definitely do that. It's super helpful. All right. So I wanted to very quickly touch on our main information page for the awards. There is a hyperlink that I think is a little hidden. Just I always like to point this out under procedures. We actually have a link to the judging criteria for each category. So you can see here, it talks about the goals and objectives, results and outcomes, and overall impression. So again, that aligns with that information that you're inputting into the form. They will have 5 points that they can judge you on for goals and objectives, results and outcomes, and overall impression. Each of those are worth 5 points. So these are the questions that they're asking themselves. Did the entry clearly state the goals and objectives for the project, including any specific target audiences? So make sure that information is in your entry. Results and outcomes. Did the project or production achieve the desired goals and objectives? And then overall impression. It's creativity, effectiveness, and value to the organization. And then in addition, there are questions based on production quality, and there's a maximum of 10 points. And these are category specific. So for video, be looking at, is your message creative and effective? Are music, audio, graphics, and or special effects used effectively? Is the camera work and picture composition appropriate and effective? And rating your overall assessment of the technical production and content. So it's important to look the category, like the subcategory that you're entering, what is its parent category, and what are those questions that the judges are going to be getting asked? So I was looking in the chat and I saw, if we submit videos in the best short form category, can we submit the same videos for social media campaign, or would we need to choose one category? This is one where I think this is up to you. You technically can submit them, but they are going to be judged on different criteria. So if you submit videos in the best short form category, they're going to be ranked by the judges based on these questions relating to video. If you submit in the social media category, you can see that it's a different set of questions. It's not so much the camera work and all of that. It's more, is it engaging to your audience? Was it effective? So these are really important. This is an important document to check out. Again, it's on the information page under procedures. It's this hyperlinked summary of judging criteria. And that's going to be really helpful when you're trying to decide what category to enter it in. So that's important to take a look at. And then speaking of judging, as I mentioned, we've been fortunate to have a really great partnership with Capio, our sister organization in California. They'll be judging all of our submissions, and we actually do the same for them. So we'll start recruiting for judges here in the coming weeks. So if you're interested, please drop me an email. My email is sbustilloz@roundrocktexas.gov. And if you'll just add Capio Judging in the subject line, my contact information is under the board of directors page as well, so you can find me there. So just add Capio Judging in the subject line, let me know you're interested, and when that time rolls around, I'll reach out to you and ask you to fill out a form to help judge and let us know what categories you're interested in. The judging period will be during March, so there might be some overlap near our deadline, but you'll have plenty of time. You should have a couple weeks to complete the judging after the deadline as well, if you are a last minute entry submitter. So with that, I was taking a look at the chats, but Sean is going to help me out too. I think we're ready to take some questions about the process.
Perfect. Let's just start at the top and work our way down. Do we mail in a printed magazine?
You do not. So my team actually has something that I think we're going to submit this year that is a really unique way that it was printed. So I would suggest that you use.
We lost Sarah. Here she is. You're on mute, friend.
I don't know what happened. That was really interesting, but we had a little restart of Zoom there. So you can hear me?
Yes.
Great. Okay. So I'm not sure where I dropped off on that, but yeah, essentially use pictures, video, whatever you need to show what your print looks like if you're really proud of the way it was printed. Otherwise, go ahead and upload it to like an issue or one of those programs where you can read it digitally. That was one reason that we combined print and digital on this, because we had folks uploading it to issue anyway and calling it digital, and it just really, people were judging the same thing, but they were in different categories for almost, no reason, when it's mostly on the way that you put it together, the graphics, and if it's easy to understand and read. So we do have something in my shop that was printed a special way. We'll probably submit a video that actually shows what it is.
So I'm going to ask a follow-up on this, because you were saying, there are people who will submit in multiple categories for essentially the same thing, but just a slightly other side. Are you actually encouraging folks to pick where it fits best and submit under one category?
I think so. It's, that's what some of the feedback that we get each year is, if somebody does one campaign and, they put it across all the multiple categories for the different pieces, because you might have a campaign that includes a website, includes social media. I would just be very specific about those things. You could be like City of Bryan a couple of years ago and sweep and have 13 awards, but the truth is they did each of those things. The awards are really to tell you if the work you're doing is working, makes sense, if it's unique, original. So I really highly encourage folks to pick a category and stick with it. But if you're unsure, that option is there to you. Again, it's $85 per entry for members. So hopefully you're really sure of the submissions that you're entering.
Okay. There's a question on, is there a limit to the number of documents that you can upload with an entry? And do you recommend one large PDF, or do you recommend breaking it out into individual documents?
So there is a limit. I believe I set that limit, and I can't remember it off the top of my head right now, as we don't have it open yet. I want to say it might be 6 to 10 is probably the max that you can upload for attachments with the entry. Again, I would highly recommend consolidating your stuff just like Wilson did in maybe like a presentation format that's easy to go through. He did it in Canva, but you really could do it in a Word document, or, most of us use Canva though. So I would suggest consolidating as much as you can, but then if you have, more backups, just kind of being conscious of how you're grouping those things together, because the judges are going to get all of your attachments with the same priority. They're all just going to be out there in front of them. So the more you can group it and make it make sense what they're clicking on and what they expect to see, the judges, I think, will have a better view and impression of your submission.
Right. And this might be a question that Wilson can chime in on as well, since he just won in this category for best social media post. Do you think creativity is valued as much as analytics, or do impressions make the difference?
Yeah, so really, I think they both play a part. I mean, if it's something that was definitely, if you put a lot of effort into it and it was something that really no one has done before, I think that plays a huge part into the success as the campaign. But of course, I know that always happens. You put in a lot of effort into something, you're like, this is going to blow up. This is going to be a ton of engagement, and then it doesn't do exactly what you hoped. But I think that, if you put that in your presentation, exactly, really your process and the effort that you put into it, and where you got this, creative post, I think that really helps really showcase that to judges. But yeah, I definitely, if it's something that, if that's what I'm getting at, like you did a post and then it didn't have the best engagement or impressions on what you're kind of looking for, is that kind of the question? Is that?
I think that captures it.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll also say, it's the analytics for me. I don't often see judges comparing, well, this one got 2 million views and this one got 1 million views, especially when it comes to cities' populations and their resources.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just important to reiterate, what was your goal and did you meet that goal, or what was your objective and did you meet that? So, it could be much lower numbers on social media than another city. I've never seen that count against somebody. So with that being said, I do think creativity is very valued by judges. That's something that really makes your category or your submission stand out.
I'm going to jump in just as somebody who's judged a lot. I haven't obviously judged TAMIO since we enter in TAMIO as well. We can't judge our own things, but one way to learn how to do good submissions is to volunteer to be a judge. And there are lots of opportunities. 3CMA seeks judges all the time. So I'll just tell you, a couple pieces of advice from someone who's sat and judged a lot. First of all, those packages, like Wilson submitted, yes, you're entering all of your information into the form. Those packages help though, because you get eye fatigue as a judge. And so to be able to glance and say, hey, did they fill out all the forms? But oh, wait, yay, it's over here in one Word document or one InDesign file or one Canva file. That's really helpful. Secondly, your goals are very, very important. So that question about creativity versus impressions, and let's just broaden that, creativity versus analytics, the answer is yes, and it's all tied to your goals. Don't tell me that your video's goal was to reach residents and then show me that your video had 1 million views, but you can't show me that those 1 million views are your residents, because I'm glad you went viral, but did you impact your residents? You need to change your goal to say, I want to reach as many people as possible, or you need to show me analytics that show that you reached your residents, if that helps you. So support what you say your goal is. And then at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you only reached 1,000 people. If 1,000 people was what your goal was, then you did better than somebody who reached 2 million people. So just keep that thread, your story, all the way through. And I realize that I now may not win any awards because you're going to write a much better submittal, but that is the way I don't want to call it a game is played, but it's the way that you convince judges that you know what you're doing. So anyway, that's just my little 2 cents on that. Here's a very practical question, Sarah. What's the eligibility period or specific dates that define when videos should have been created for consideration in awards?
So the creation has to have been since January 1st, 2022. So that gives you a pretty long runway here. A question I get a lot is, well, what is the last date that it could have been created? You could create it today. You could create it during the submission period, but I would encourage you to wait and maybe consider, maybe that's a better entry for the following year, because you might have better analytics that accrue by next year. So just something to think about. You might have something happen right before the entry submission period opens, and maybe you have all the analytics or all the background that you need. You can go ahead and turn that in this time, but maybe hold off for next year. Just kind of depends what you have. And then something else to tag on what you just said, Shauna, about going viral. For the best social media post, a lot of times when you go viral, it wasn't even in your goals to go viral. We all know that if someone says, make me something viral, we're like, but it's something, maybe then you do lean more on the creativity than the analytics and some of your storytelling of what you were trying to do. Maybe you were trying something a little bit different, something a little bit outside the box for your city to try to get the word out about something, and going viral helped confirm that you met your goal of successfully having a funny post or engaging post that's maybe outside of the norm of what you do, or taking advantage of something that happened in your community or a trend that's happening.
I think this question we kind of answered about putting things into multiple categories. So here's a good question that came in. What are some categories that you'd really like to see some more submissions on?
I really love this question. When I saw this come across, I was very excited. So I'm going to flip over my categories real quick. I know I'm not sharing my screen anymore. But I really like, I will say one of the most inundated categories we have right now is best use of humor. That's one that we don't split up by population break. So last year, I think we had like 30 videos that somebody had to judge because the idea is, whether you're funny or not doesn't really matter on your population size, I guess. But that one is always really inundated. So it's a fun one to enter, but man, that one is super competitive. I mentioned this earlier. I really like to see entries in the innovation award category. For me, this is, if you are teaming up with your IT department on anything innovative, if you created like an actually usable map for your residents, or AI. I think the invent of AI and everything going on there is really exciting to see what we might get here, or a podcast. Maybe that's less innovative, but it's still pretty innovative among cities right now to be engaging in that space. So that's definitely where I want to see more entries if possible. Best use of photography is one that's really interesting to me. I always love seeing the visual work that folks are doing. And then communications planning. Best strategic plan is definitely getting some more love. But the DE&I outreach campaign is something where we've kind of worded that one where it doesn't have to be a really huge overall DE&I effort. It could be, something really specific, like the ways that you're engaging folks on public works projects, making sure that you're including different languages, any accessibility type of projects or campaigns that you have going on to make your services easier to use for folks. I think those are all really good ones. Video categories are always very popular. So those are competitive.
Hey, don't see any additional questions. Any final words of encouragement, Wilson or Sarah, for our award hopefuls?
I would definitely just say, going back to, even just, was your post viral or was it a success? I would really just go back, what everyone else has said is thinking about, was it a success in your town? Really highlight all those things, really go in and find your meaning on this post. Like, during a winter storm, did it reach your goals? Do you have the analytics for your website? Did people go to that emergency message on what to do during a winter storm? Or just really just find those pinpoints on what makes this area of what you're trying to communicate to the judges. Why was this a success to your town? I really think that really helped us. And I would make sure to just highlight all those wins and really just communicate it in a very easy to read matter for the judges to see. Just quick, to the point, all the reporting that you have in a nice laid out matter, and just show those wins and show those goals that were achieved. So that really helped us, and just really just think about those things. I think that that's really a big thing, and it really actually helped us as a agency grow and think about how we can better communicate to our residents through these submissions. So just really just think about those things, and it's a fun process when you actually start kind of going into your past things, and it really just helps you show that the stuff that we do is important. So yeah.
And I would say, think about, more than just Hootsuite or Sprout Social. Think about any kudos you've received via email, anything your council members have said about your work. That stuff matters, and really helps tell the story when you're entering everything. As I mentioned, there's no gatekeeping on this. Like Shauna said, I love seeing new people win awards, even if it means, I'm not winning as many, or my team isn't winning as many awards. That makes me very happy to see those new names out there, just growing cities and growing departments, because it means that your council is seeing the value of your work, and it's really strengthening. I think, every year at the conference, we ask, is this your first year at the conference? And we see so many hands. So this really helps you tell your story of success, especially if maybe this is your second year on the job and you're trying to show, what it is that you've done. So please email me if you have any questions. Try to get into the system as early as you can once it opens, so that if you have questions, I'm going to be much more able to help you at the beginning of the process than the end. And you can start a submission and go back and change it, and edit it all the way up until the end. So just get in there and get it started, so that you don't get caught at the end with a lot of logistical issues in the system. But it's a pretty easy system to use, and just ask me if you have any.
Well, thank you to both Sarah and Wilson for a great session. And reminder to everybody, this has been recorded and we'll be posting it on the website. We'll send it out as well. We don't want you to not have access to these tips and tricks. And before I let you go, I want to remind you, this is a double month of webinars. We're talking about how to get rewarded for the work you've done. How about rewarding yourself a little bit? Have you been overwhelmed by the number of choices available in advanced certification? Do you do CPC? Do you do CPM? Should you get APR? I could go on and on. MPIO. There are a million of them. And how do you decide which is right? How do you make the argument to city management for funding? That's what we're doing next Wednesday, January 24th. We have a great panel, very experienced and also holders of multiple certifications that will help you make some decisions so that you can think through what's next for you on your career path. Thank you all so much. Hope you have a great day. Stay warm, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.